Okay, let me get started. Hello, everyone. I'm Wei Zhu from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I'm an associate professor of accounting and also a faculty fellow at our Center for Professional Responsibility in Business and Society. Big thanks to Peter and other conference organizers for putting this together. It's a great pleasure here and share our research, Silent Skies, the biodiversity consequence of meeting earnest benchmarks. This is joint work with Jake and Frank at Yale University and Wentao from Xiamen University. This study is close to my heart. It collects my research in sustainability with something personal. My kids are big fans of animals. They love watching cardinal, goldfinch, and other birds in our backyard. They were very sad to learn that ivory-billed woodpeckers have gone extinct in Illinois. Unfortunately, that's not an isolated case. Worldwide, wildlife population has dropped by 70% since 1970, with extinction rates now 1,000 times the historical record. Human activity, including corporate operations, is a major driver. Of course, business activities also provide jobs and improve living standards. So the goal of conservation is not to stop business altogether, but to balance human benefits with ecological harm. For example, to target corporate actions with low social value and a high ecological cost. We believe accounting and business research can contribute by providing empirical evidence on the ecological impacts of specific corporate activities to inform evidence-based policy design and collaborative strategy. So our central question, therefore, is how does financial pressure to meet earnings benchmark, MEB, affect bird abundance and species richness? Following our research, we define MEB as firm quarters where EPS meets or beats analyst consensus by no more than 2 cents. We focus on MEB for 3 reasons. First, it has limited economic and social benefits. Second, framework shows firms cut pollution abatement to meet earnings benchmark, increasing toxic release that could plausibly harm wildlife. Third, it offers short identification both in time and location during MEB quarters and near fur endpoints. We study birds for 2 reasons. First, birds are the largest vertebrate class in the United States and widely used as indicators of ecosystem health. Second, eBird, the world's largest citizen science platform, provides extensive geocoded bird population data since 2002 across the continental U.S., making our study feasible. Bird watching records in eBird include day, time, location, and the species observed of each trip. Using eBird data, we estimate the magnitude of the impact of MEB on bird population and explore temporal spatial patterns as well as variation by species and emission types. Now it's intuitive that pollution from MEB might harm birds. The expected effect size is uncertain. On one hand, we may expect very large effects because our study found infant birth rate drops after plant openings and rise after closures. An ecological study found pollutants impair bird health in lab and field settings. On the other hand, we may expect small effects because toxic emissions increased by only 12% during MEB quarters compared to 100% change from plant openings and closures. And these chemicals in general are less dangerous than criteria air pollutants. Moreover, some pollutants shown to harm birds in lab and field settings show no detectable impact in large-scale data, such as PM2. So what we found? Using 368,000 observer plant quarter observations, drawn from 273 million eBird records over 2002 to 2018, around 6,000 plants owned by 791 U.S. public companies. We found that bird abundance within 4 kilometers of a plant falls by 2.4% during MEB quarters, relative to non-MEB quarters. This is more than 3 times the overall quarterly decline rate, 0.7% on North American bird populations due to all factors. Looking within the MEB quarter, the abundance decline is significant in months 2 and 3, suggesting real earnings management begins by the second month of the quarter. Looking across quarters, the decline persists for the next 2 years, suggesting that the decline in MEB quarter is not temporary. Turning to spatial pattern, a natural question is whether the local decline during the plant around the plant is offset by birds relocating to nearby habitats. To investigate this possibility, we examine abundance change in zones 4 to 10 kilometers from each plant and plot those changes as orange bars in this figure next to the blue bars that represent the 0 to 4 kilometer distance. We found no offsetting increase in abundance for those outer rings during the MEB quarter or in the following 2 years. So this implies birds either die or they relocate to more distant habitats that are arguably less desirable. We also found several meaningful cross-sectional patterns. We found that the decline is stronger among resident birds than migratory birds. It's larger for small body mass birds than for larger ones. It's concentrated in species living in open habitats with less vegetation, such as grasslands. It's also stronger near plants, releasing chemicals classified as more toxic to birds by the EPA's EXO-TOX database. And finally, we found no decline during MEB quarters at plants without toxic release. So together, these findings suggest that even a modest increase in toxic release, at average about 12%, can have serious ecological consequences. In addition to abundance, we also observe a significant drop in species richness, the number of unique bird species during MEB quarter. Again, the decline is persistent and is not driven by bird species relocating to nearby habitats. To conclude, we believe our study contributes to the literature and practice of biodiversity conservation by providing large sample evidence linking biodiversity loss to activities of U.S. public affairs. Compared to aggregate production and public infrastructure development, MEB has lower social and economic value, making it a more actionable, cost-effective target for conservation. Furthermore, by raising awareness of biodiversity impacts of seemingly unrelated corporate activities, we hope to encourage collaboration among firms, regulators, and other stakeholders. To the literature and practice of financial reporting, we highlight that financial reporting incentives, which may appear less relevant at first glance, can drive biodiversity loss. The effects are immediate and substantial, supporting the demand for firm-level biodiversity study. Our finding also suggests that the externalities of real earnings management to meet earnings benchmark extend beyond human stakeholders to wildlife. That's all I have. Thank you for listening. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. Bye.